All right, sorry about the delay. We will start the Plan Commission meeting. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
I will move to approve.
Second. Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We are going to move item D up to the top of the agenda for purposes of the school district has a board meeting, I believe, tonight. They need to get through this agenda item. So item D is now item A, discussion and possible action on recommending the Common Council set a public hearing date for an amendment to Municipal Sign Code Chapter 202-6 subsection C and 202-6 subsection E.
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, at the May 4th council meeting, the school district came in and proposed a new monument message board sign located near the entrance to the new high school. And with that, obviously, our code does not provide for that type of signage, or does not allow for it. So meanwhile, we've been navigating, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic, also talking about how can we best get messages out to the public, whether it be the school district, whether it be one of the city facilities, whether it be a county facility. Does it make sense for City of Hudson Code to allow have some type of provision, obviously with a number of different criteria that would need to be met? And obviously look at a CUP process. We're not considering the ordinance tonight. We're talking about asking the council to set a public hearing date. I think it's important that we hear from the public. I know there's a lot of interested parties tuning in tonight, and all those voices need to be heard. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this is from a policy standpoint, does it make sense for in public zoning districts only to provide accommodations for or a process for message board signage and larger signage than you would normally see in, say, a commercial district for that matter. So that's what's up tonight. You can look through the draft code and you'll see, and obviously this is just the first stab. We'll work through this as we go through the process and fine tune it to whatever it is that we need. But you'll see freestanding signs in excess of our allowable height and area. We're talking about potentially going with a conditional use permit. Remember that with conditional use permits, the way that we need to have criteria that is reasonable and measurable to, to make it a determination or recommendation either for or against those types of permits. So we took a stab at, there's 7 different criteria that a sign like this would have to adhere to. Obviously a neighborhood meeting, public comment, public meetings, things like that. But again, we're just looking for direction to send this to council for them to set a public hearing date.
All right, before we get into discussion, for the people that are tuning in via Zoom, I just wanted to let you know, and there are a number of people I presume that are on TV right now. We don't have the screen up where we can see the aggregate pictures of everybody that's tuned in, but there is on there a chat button. And if you are interested in making a comment, if you have something to say, if you would go to that chat button, indicate that you have something to say. We have somebody monitoring the screen and they will let us know that you would like to make a comment and we can recognize you that way. All right, discussion?
Well, as I mentioned prior, and I don't know if it has any relevancy to this situation today, the school district was denied a sign request years ago by the Plan Commission when Danny Darnell was here. I would just like to bring that information back as to what happened and why. I don't recall. I'm not saying that this is for or against any new proposals. It's just there was a reason, and I'd like to remember what it was and see if any of those same items are still present or what has changed that would change our thinking of anything new going forward. I would like to do that, if that makes sense.
You need a motion?
Well, with that, I would.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know, I should have carried through it. I'd say with that, I guess knowing that we don't have that information tonight, I'd like to move to postpone this until we can get everything. And maybe back then we'd be under a different meeting format where we're struggling tonight, honestly, frankness, we're patched together in a bunch of different ways. It would be nice to have a more normal meeting.
Pat, do you want to move your mic up to you? All right, so we have a motion to postpone. Is there a second? Yes. Motion and second. Excuse me.
So for clarification, we do not want to send this to set a public hearing date for some time in the future. We still wouldn't be forwarding a recommendation on the ordinance itself. We'd just be requesting that the council set a public hearing date, and then we could take whatever information, the information that you would like. We can have that before we formally make our recommendation to council.
I see no harm in having the public hearing.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we aren't forwarding a recommendation on this ordinance. It's a starting point.
I personally think that would be, to run the two processes parallel. We're gonna hear from the public and we're gonna find out what happened in the past.
Frank?
I wonder how long will it take the research to be able to pull that information out?
As soon as I have the year, it'll be easy to pull out. We have it all in a binder upstairs.
Well, if we can run in parallel, that's fine.
I agree too, but I also think it's important to go back and determine why.
Right.
And I think that's certainly, I think that makes sense, before you actually make a formal recommendation on it. The devil will be in the details on this, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, things have changed. It's 10 years later. I'm presuming that was about 10 years ago. And so things have changed, and let's see what they are. And then the purpose and everything about it. I kind of understand the school. Every school district, if you drive by them, has signs. So the need and want for one, I can see why. However, it has to fit with the city interests and other things that I think, other issues could come up, different than the ones that are already in place that make this a different situation. So we have to weigh all that.
And then at the same time, by doing it this route, about the same time, we'll be able to hear from the public. So.
Correct.
Excuse me, can you guys hear us?
Yep. Tiffany?
Mary Claire would like to speak, and I think Randy was trying to say something earlier too.
Claire, did she put her name on the chat thing? Mary Claire, we don't have a screen up, Mary Claire, that shows everybody that's tuned in, so I can't see anybody other than the person that's speaking on the screen. So again, there's a chat button on your screen if you're zooming in, and just type in that you would like to make a comment, please. So anybody that's doing that, or if you're having a hard time with that, just chime in, because we can't see you here. We don't have the aggregate screen up. So whatever they call that on there, but.
Yes. I did put that in the chat. I'm not sure who's monitoring the chat, but thank you, Tiffany. But I did put a note in the chat that I would like to speak.
Okay, Brian is monitoring. He said he didn't see it. Okay, sorry about that, Mary Claire. Go ahead.
We see you now.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, so is that the process to use moving forward then?
I can see your comment now. So.
Okay.
Oh, apparently there's a delay on that. Can speak up, please, Mary Claire?
Yes. Yes. So received several comments from close by residents that have concern about the light, the brightness of the sign, the commercialization in a residential area, and reduction of homeowners' values. So several comments on that from several homeowners in the area.
Okay. Well, and of course, this is just for a public hearing right now.
Yes, they asked me to share their concerns.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else?
What Tiffany said Randy wanted to.
Randy, were you trying to talk?
Yeah, you guys talk over everybody because you can't hear us very well. But I don't agree with delaying it. It's a public hearing. You can do both. We can have the information and time to go through. We don't need to delay it.
Okay. Anybody else here?
No, I think, well,
So what is the motion?
The motion is postponed.
well, you want to,
You want to change that
I
or
will
adapt
let
it?
them know, I'll rescind it. If we
Okay.
can run parallel, I'll rescind the entire motion and just say, let's go ahead.
Okay, so
Is that okay with
If we
you?
can do it parallel, I take my motion back.
Okay,
You're gonna make a motion to go ahead and send it to the public hearing.
Well, then, yeah, I guess that would be appropriate, then I so move to move forward with this to the public hearing. I'll second that.
all right, so,
With the condition of
Carol,
obtaining the.
Right, parallel information and
More
hopefully
history.
more open and widespread attendance and knowledge of the subject.
okay, so, in addition, I was going to say this anyway, the language is broader than just the school district. Okay, as Mike pointed out, the language is to accommodate, rather than doing this piecemeal every time there is a suggestion that we use this type of signage, this language is going to accommodate more than just the school district. This language is to accommodate any signs that we put up on municipal property.
Municipal properties, yep.
And with messaging, and so that we can broadly just make a change to the sign ordinance right now. Now, my question to you, and I apologize, it just occurred to me, Mike. What about our people that have private signs on private property that would like to get into the digital?
They would have to adhere to the sign, the size requirements that are established already.
Okay.
This is specific to.
This is specific to public and I think specific to public messaging.
Okay. Because certainly,
Sign area. Yep.
because we do have requests from people that have signs on their property that they want to get into digital as well. And that's something we'll be taking up at some point in time. So, okay. Anything else? Anybody online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on a zoning map amendment from R1, one family residential to R2, two family residential for part of 497 Stage Line Road. Brian Martell.
All right, so Mr. Martell, the owner of 497 Stage Line Road, is requesting a zoning map amendment on a portion of his property, particularly the portion that's the western half. He proposes to divide it and rezone to R1, one family residential, to R2, two family residential. He plans for the construction of a twin home or duplex type of development to be built there. He won't be building it himself. I don't think somebody else would buy it and do that themselves. The zoning request is consistent with the 2030 comprehensive plan land use designation of a single two-family residential unit. So, and a neighborhood meeting was actually held as well on February 21st. So moving forward, there is still to be a public hearing on June 1st. So the applicant has submitted a CSM as well, but that's the next item. Basically tonight, we're asking you to provide a consideration of either approval, denial, or postponement. If you have any questions, Mr. Martell is online. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask him.
Anybody? Questions? Randy, Mary Claire?
No, I'll move we approve.
I'll second that because we've approved other various rezonings in that area very similar to this. This is not the first one.
Okay. We have a motion, a second discussion. Anybody online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on a certified survey map for 497 Stage Line Road, Brian Martell.
All right, so same property, splitting the property into two, western half versus eastern half. The western half will be rezoned, which was approved. So now he's just getting the property actually split now through this.
Access will be shared off a stage line. You can see the existing driveway. That would be removed, and then there would be one driveway. We didn't want to see, obviously, multiple driveways coming off those two properties. So it'll be a shared access between the existing house on lot 1 and then the new duplex on lot 2.
Okay. We have a motion?
I'll move with conditions.
Second? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second discussion. Anybody? Anybody online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on a preliminary and final plat map for Summer Prairie Extraterritorial Zone, Town of Hudson, 726 Road North, Urchins LLC, Richard Stout.
All right, so the applicant has submitted a plat map for review entitled Summer Prairie. The platted area falls within the city's extraterritorial zone and requires approval per municipal code 25569 and 254-3D. The proposed plat is comprised of 43 lots to be developed as single-family dwellings. However, of the 43, 3 fall entirely within the city's extraterritorial zone and another 5 fall partially within it. So the entire thing isn't within it, but we still have to review it regardless. With that being said, staff is recommending approval with a couple of conditions lined up with receiving a wetland permit from the DNR and making sure building setbacks along I-94 are followed.
Anybody?
I'll move to approve.
And I will, with their city's conditions on, especially the wetland permit and whatever the other one was, the setback.
Yep.
With
Okay.
conditions.
We have a motion, a second discussion. Anybody online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. I don't have anything for future agendas. Anybody? I guess I just want to say thank you to everybody. Obviously, it's difficult. We're working through this. Could be the new normal for a while. And appreciate everybody that came in online. Appreciate the people that came in live. Get our work done here. And that's about it.
May I inquire, does the city have a timetable set yet when, let's say, City Hall will open and we're gonna return to business as normal? Is that gonna, if you're with the governor's timelines, or what's going on there?
Well, I don't think it's going to be normal. I think the first phase is going to be rotating staff in smaller numbers every few days. It doesn't look like we're going to start that until after probably around June 1st, I would assume. I think we started talking about that a little bit at last night's council meeting. But everything's so fluid right now, like it has been over the past 2.5 months, that, anything, like we're ready to react. We have a plan. We're here to keep our employees safe and make sure everybody's comfortable. So you stay tuned. I wish I could give you more, but I think that's probably
quickly as we can.
I didn't know if there was you're gonna raise the curtain or what you're gonna do. No, you're not raising the curtain.
And as Mike said, it won't be normal for a while. We're going to be platooning people in here like we're doing with our police, with our fire, with our public works and our public utilities, so that it's just groups of people that are working together all the time in case anything happens to one of them. That group is going to be isolated for a while. The next group kind of comes in. They'll be rotating throughout the week anyway, but then that's what they'll be doing here on our premises at City Hall as well.
Thank you.
Yep, good question. Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second. Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.